Hello and welcome to my first official cooking video. And today it's gonna be some chili. We got the big game coming up, and this is just a really simple recipe. You're gonna get some ground beef. I got some beans that I had soaking overnight. That's pinto and black beans. Some Roma tomatoes, jalapeno, tomato sauce, sweet baby rays, about 3 to 4 cloves of garlic. And yeah, this is what we're gonna start off with. I got my Dutch oven there, and for the most part, all the basic seasonings. And just a quick little shot of me really not being great at cutting carrots. I should have actually gotten full-size carrots, but baby carrots is what I had, so this is what I used. And I mean, luckily I got a really good knife and I did not cut myself. But you want to dice the carrots like, just regular dice size, as you see me doing, about that size. Try to keep them all the same size. It would probably take way less time if you had full-size carrots. Onions, we're gonna do the same thing, just kind of a rough dice. And I'm using about 3/4 of an onion. Hey, feel free. Go throw a whole sweet onion or a whole yellow onion, whatever your preference is. But I just like the regular yellow onions. I mean, sweet onions are great, but we broke. And then we got our garlic. I just kind of do kind of a rough mince, just minced garlic, rough mince. And it's really chopped garlic, I guess you could say. But if you want to take the time and mince the garlic, that's fine. But you can just load it up with a bunch of garlic powder. I just prefer the taste of the fresh garlic. So just mixing it up just to have all that stuff together and let them sit so I can move on with the rest of my prep. Now, this is not a recipe that is used by anyone else that I could see, because I don't really want to copy anyone else's recipe. So you use whatever tomato you feel like you want to use, but I feel like using the Roma tomatoes, it has a good texture even after it's been, cooking. And, you mix it with some just regular canned tomato sauce and you're good to go. Right here, I was gonna use 2 jalapenos, but because I have all the other seasonings, I just went ahead and just did the 1 jalapeno. Now thinking back, I probably should have just gone and thrown the 2nd jalapeno in there. But as you can see, about the same size as the carrots and the onions. So now, first thing, we're gonna throw some ground beef. I got a pound right here. I would prefer getting the 80/20. What I had was, I believe like 70. It's like 70 something 27, like 73/27. But yeah, 80/20 beef is probably the best. You can see there was a lot of moisture in this beef, but so I didn't really get a lot of that fond on the bottom, but it's still pretty good. And you just kind of keep that high heat going, or medium high heat going, and just let that sizzle off. But don't forget, you gotta make sure you season that while it's sizzling off, all right? And you can already see that it's starting to go. You're gonna just let it do its thing, all right? Now, there's no real time on it, I don't think, but I'd say until you start getting this kind of color, you can see that and the pink in this shot here. So I would say once you get like that kind of nice like browning on your beef, then you're kind of ready to put that to the side. The beef is almost fully cooked, I would say, but this is about where you want to be when you take it off the stove. So as we put that to the side, now we're gonna start on getting our other seasonings prepped. That allspice is gonna come in good later. We got paprika, chili powder, something with some color and some nice little spice to everything. Yeah. Now next we're gonna go ahead and heat this pan up. I love this olive oil. You can get that at Whole Foods. It's not the cheapest, but it's a great high heat oil. All right, and so we'll take those veggies that we chopped up, get them going with a nice little smell in the kitchen, and just get those sizzling up just a little bit, just until you get some like little color change on it. We're not fully sauteing it. We're not fully caramelizing the onions or anything. We're just getting a nice little color on it and letting that garlic kind of just get into everything. And I would say this is my aromatics. I guess the carrots don't really count as an aromatic, but who cares? You know, that's the great thing about chili is there's no real like set way of doing it as long as it comes out good. Now you see I'm throwing my Roma tomatoes in there, and we're just literally just, again, letting the garlic and onion kind of just encapsulate all of that stuff. All right. Giving that a little bit of a mix. And you can already see a little bit of the browning. This is a totally non-stick pan. Yo, shout out to Costco. This pan is part of like a 3-pan set, and it's just makes cooking most things on the stove a lot easier for cleanup. And just in case you were wondering, this is also about, this is on like medium high heat. And we're gonna take that off of the pan and mix it right on in there, right on top of that beef, because all of this stuff is ready for slow cooking. Now you see I still had the stove on because I was trying to do this all on one spot on the stove, because let's say that you are somebody, you're in a dorm or you're in a studio apartment or something, and all you have is one of those single burners. You can even do this. Getting these pans and these pots are, pretty easy, pretty cheap. If you don't have exactly what I have in this video, then, use what you got. But the beans, they were soaking for over 24 hours overnight, and I believe that helped like with the cooking process, but I didn't exactly let those cook long enough. But you want to bring that to a boil. I think I put those in a little too early. And I'm pouring the entire can of tomato sauce, just regular off-the-shelf tomato sauce. Feel free to put whatever you like. And then you take that and you just empty all of that, and then pour water to fill up that entire can. And then you will pour that water in there and mix it all together. Throw that in there for about an hour. And during that time, your beans should be cooking. And that should also take about 45 minutes. So if you just time it right, you should be able to get fully cooked beans while the rest of the stuff is already slow cooking at 225 degrees Fahrenheit. So here I'm turning off the beans. I gotta admit, I probably should have let those beans cook a little longer. They were starting to soften up, but I would recommend 45 minutes. I did it for about 25 minutes. So we're gonna drain the water straight out of that. We don't need the water from those beans. I know some people prefer to keep the water sometimes when you're making any kind of beans, but I'm not saving the bean water. Just a little bit left in that, just to get the bean flavor into there. So next thing I would say is just go ahead, mix all of that together. Now what I'm doing right here is I'm mixing in the beans, and I know I probably could have added a little more beef, but I'm just going with a pound of beef. And while I'm doing this, it's time to add a little bit more seasoning to it because the seasoning's not done, all right? As you can see, this is just our basic ingredients that are already in there. It's already smelling really, really good. But before we put it back on slow cook, we want to add some seasoning. So we got some black pepper, some allspice, red pepper, that's ground red pepper, and I believe, what did I do? I think I put a little bit of paprika and chili powder, and this is just my regular everyday seasoning that I keep around the house, just a little bit of that. It's just got all your good stuff in it. And then that's a bit of cumin. I put a little bit too much, but hey, why not? And some oregano. And we're gonna mix all that together. And I'm telling you, it's chili. So it's all about your preference. Make sure that you taste as it goes. Whether you're doing a 2-hour chili, a 4-hour chili, or a 6-hour chili, you should taste as you go and season as you go. And that's what I like to do with the chili. I'm gonna cover that back up and put it right back on slow cook. And that's gonna go in there for, I believe, about 3 hours at 225 Fahrenheit. Now, I do like to take it out, after about an hour and a half of that 3 hours, stir it up, and I'm gonna throw a little bit of cornstarch in there just to thicken this thing up, all right? I mean, you don't have to do this step, but I like my chili to be a bit thick, and just putting kind of what I think is the good amount of cornstarch in there. And then I'm also gonna put a little bit more black pepper in there because, again, you gotta taste as you go. And I believe I also added a little bit more salt because, you would think that you're adding a lot of salt, but you're not. Now, we're gonna go with the king of seasoning, and that is MSG, the magical white powder. Don't be scared of it. Put 5 little taps of it, all right? And that's all you need. 5 little taps, and it just boosts it like crazy. I'm gonna stir that up a little bit right before we throw it right back into the slow cook, okay? But first, I just thought it was a good idea. Sprinkle a little bit of that carne asada seasoning in there. We do have some beef, and we want a little bit more of that kind of southwestern taste, and that's kind of why I'm doing a lot of stuff that's a bit chili pepper based. You kind of want that southwestern taste to it. We don't want it to smell like a burger. We don't want it to smell like, I got some Sweet Baby Ray's. That's the no sugar added Sweet Baby Ray's. Don't sleep on it. I'm just pouring a little bit of that in there, okay? Now, again, don't be scared. Just a little bit of sugar. All right? Some people, they put brown sugar. Some people put a lot more of the regular white sugar. Hey, I just had a packet laying there. I didn't feel like grabbing my whole jar. That's about a teaspoon of sugar, and that's all you really need. A little more chili powder in there, a little more paprika in there, and, this is all for color and for taste. It's not just for taste. Some of this is just for color to give it that nice, dark, deep red. But as you can see, it's looking really good, and oh my goodness, the smell was crazy, okay? So, and then, yeah, I forgot the pan was hot right there. So yeah, you want to make sure that the top of your pot is, is something you can touch. So that was still hot. So I went and got my oven mitts, threw it back in there. And that's when I reset it for the 3 hours. So at this point, it was a total of about 4 hours of cooking. So then, here we go. I'm going to throw some of that dark jalapeno hot sauce in there. That has an amazing flavor. And also, some chili crisp is going to go in there. This is a magic ingredient. This goes great with almost anything. I'm going to go with a tablespoon of that in there. And once again, mix it all up. So remember, this has been in the slow cook for approximately 4.5 hours at this point. And it's just looking amazing. And this is when I give it a nice little taste. Yeah. It was banging. Yeah, real good. But it still wasn't done. I wanted to make sure that I put that in there for a little bit longer. And that's when you see everything. That's when you know, like, everything's kind of mixing in together nice. It's when you just see it kind of clump up like that. Like, and you don't have a lot of drippage through those slots in the spoon. Okay? Nice, thick chili. And for the most part, that's going to be about it. That is your Gameday Chili. Get you some tortilla chips or even some regular tortillas. And sometimes I like to just put a bowl and grate some cheese on it with some green onions and eat it with a spoon just like that. And that's how you can enjoy your game day. All right. Hope everybody has a safe one. And I'll see you on the next one.